But still, we can look at these in terms of like wealth divides and class divides, but still that's one lens. And Marxism alone fails to capture other aspects of society. And the problem is like lots of these tankies and anarchists, they, when they're obsessed with like they come from this Marxism angle, will be on this, right? That's why I think this divide isn't useful anymore. They become more like just anti-capitalists for the sake of it, and they start neglecting other social spheres. I'm gonna window capture and then turn off the browser. No, this is not right window capture. Sorry. 1 second. We're gonna draw a little diagram here. That's from when I was playing Overwatch. Got it. Okay, switch it back to MS Paint. So instead of that political compass, I like to draw it in a new way, where it's not even like really that. It's more kind of like you come from like one side of it, instead of like just a dividing graph. But we still end up with 4 quadrants. Okay, so we end up kind of like you come from one direction. No, there's not much like overlap. This is more of like a leaf thing, right? So you like come from this way. Yeah, you come from this way, or you come from this way, or you come from this way, or you come from this way. All right? But there are these like overlap quadrants, right? I'm going to redraw this maybe in a way that's a little more helpful. This is like my theory of like how to model politics right now. And then for a fill, we'll just do redshirt. Oh, it is not set to fill. That works. Natural pencil. Yeah, sure. Okay, so we have red, we have green opposite it. I will change this, don't worry. Cool. Okay, then we have the yellow at the bottom. This is like my own model. People have asked me about this, and I've just come up with it, right? Because I think it's useful, and explains why this left pipeline like does not really work as well. And then we'll do like a lighter blue. Do another circle up here. Okay. I fucked that up. Drew it too low. Yeah, be like that. Yeah, cool. Okay. So then we're just gonna do all these labels in black. We'll make it bold. Source serif bold. Sure. Okay, so this is like too big a font. We're getting there. This is just my model of like online politics right now, like which is translating into mainstream cultural politics. Yeah. Okay, so we have anti-capitalism, which is literally just this, right? It's not necessarily even socialism or communism, which can be different, you know, and clash, but they don't really care about that as much. Okay, then we have another one. And like I think there is some use for a Marxist lens, but if you just, I don't know, it's like English class stuff, right? Like it's a lens that can describe some stuff but not all stuff. And that I think is the danger, because we're missing a lot of stuff and we're missing a lot of people. And it's led to bad outcomes. Then we have capitalism, not even such capitalism, right? This is not as ideological. This is just like personal profiteering. I've thought about this more, and this is how I'm relabeling this, right? I made a TikTok about this a while ago. We're changing up our labels a little bit. Then we're going to have equity. Not even equity, just egalitarianism. Okay? And then we have authoritarianism. Or really just like supremacy. Supremacy. It could kind of be either, right? You get the gist. Okay? This is our model. I'm going to move this down a little bit on our canvas. Oh, I can just move the canvas up. Perfect. So, if you want to know why the left falls into infighting and does not get anywhere, It's because of this purple section right here. This is it. So, if you come in as a young person, right, because you want the most good for most people, I think a lot of people come in through. We'll do. Yeah, let's do white. White works. People come in through this happy path. They go, yay, I want people to be equal and have good things. Oh, let's go over here, because the class equity is something we can add to that, right? And they end up here. The problem is, there are also people who really live, you do a mean face, because these people suck ass, down here. They are fundamentally anti-capitalist. They don't care about social egalitarianism. They don't care about racism. They don't care about sexism. They don't care about homophobia. They don't care about transphobia. They don't care about endophobia. They don't care about ableism. Anyone's amiss, I apologize. They don't care about like religious diversity even. Though they tend to be more like usually just anti-theists, like but less tolerant. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. So like the U.S. is very much founded, I think, and this, I think the U.S. is meant to be founded up here. This principles of egalitarianism. And I switched, so like a normal political compass, I've switched the top and the bottom though, because I think egalitarianism is good and deserves to be like north and focused, where I'm putting supremacy / hierarchy / authoritarianism down at the bottom. That's just like a respect thing. I feel like I want to promote this over that. So we're flipping that, right? But like everything about how the U.S. is founded is like really just naive, frankly, of like you can't just have this laissez-faire, like libertarian government and then achieve egalitarianism. It turns out when left to their own devices, unattended, people will be racist as fuck and sexist as fuck, right? So a lot of the laws we've created over time have simply been because like people just won't be good of their own volition. At least not yet, right? People still have like those bigotries. If we created a more equal world, maybe we could lighten up a little bit, but evidently we fucking can't, right? That's why things like the Voter Rights Act was fucking important and still is important, and it's horrible. As soon as that goes away, everyone's going to be racist, right? So this is like my model things. But you have these people down here. These are tankies, like just in this area, right down here, like the authoritarian leftists. That's where they are, okay? They will throw derogatory shots at egalitarianism all the time. If you've ever heard things like, no war but class war, that's what they mean by this. This is my model. Like, this actually makes sense to me, right? This is applicable. We don't have this authoritarian versus libertarian, different forms of government. That's irrelevant, right? We're not changing governments here. We're not talking about different old school nation states where some are like kingdoms and shit. No, we're talking about like the U.S. today and your cultural views on it. This is the framing that I like to use. Tankies are down here. They feel pissed off at social issues, or the fact that they would have to stop and consider other people or other things. When they say no war but class war, they want you to just focus on the red and ignore the blue. In fact, they resent the blue. So no war but class war is one tell. Another is they don't want you making the world better under capitalism because their motivation is red. So I'm gonna redraw this, right? Because even though they are in the orange space, the overlap, their motivation is primarily red. Like you come from one direction in this model. We'll talk about the groups that come from the other direction too. They don't like the concept that you could pass a bill that would like help, for example, Black Americans build generational wealth, like little small business grants and stuff, right? Because even if that worked and you did create a utopia, they do not want liberal democracy that is in any way capitalist by any means to solve the problems. Because if you solve the problems without them, if you can solve the problems through capitalism, that means you don't need them, and that's a fundamental threat. These people will start advocating for Republicans to win elections if they see that you could win in this like blue-green aqua section in the top right. Which is interesting to tell, right? Because they don't necessarily like anti-capitalism as a part of egalitarianism anymore. They are fundamentally opposed to egalitarianism if it is pro-capitalist. These are the little thinking divides, right? And anytime there's leftist infighting, that is just up here in this like top left section where we just don't realize that people are in this conversation for two very different reasons. And a lot of these tankies will sneak up and they'll pretend to like be progressives just really as a means of recruitment tactic to pull them down. These people are accelerationists or purists. It doesn't really work, right? So they have a really good effective media pipeline where they're like trying to basically suck people off of progressivism into this. But their hard line is the red line. They don't want to cross the red line by any means ever. My hard line is probably more the blue line. Like, for example, I see socialism as, like, just a means to the end of egalitarianism that I want to bring about. And sure, if that reduces class, like, inequality and, like, that's good for everyone, I don't care. If it makes everyone, like, poor, like, that's not gonna be great. But, like, if it's equal, like, okay. But, like, if it ends up creating more inequity or, like, structures for that, like, I get scared of tankies, right? I get scared of these people who declare, we did it, we defeated capitalism, we're done now, it's perfect now. And then they end up simping for societies like North Korea, which is a monarchy. They end up simping for societies like Soviet Russia. They end up excusing racial subgroup genocides. Because as long as it's anti-capitalism, it's good. And if you start critiquing that society because it's against egalitarianism, they say, what are you doing? You're attacking anti-capitalism. Therefore, you're bad. This is really how I map that out. I know lots of, like, content creators, especially in the liberal sphere broadly, have been wondering what those litmus tests are. This is it. You can start asking would you rathers to tease these apart. Okay? And a lot of times when people in this blue side end up trying to critique people, like, more on the orange side, people in the purple side end up being, like, the naive audience looking back and forth. They'd be like, what do you mean, why are you attacking progressives? That's fine. But they realize, like, no, these people are not progressives. They have a different motivation. When someone like Hassan Piker comes out, like, instinctively reacting with anger at the idea of why don't you talk about these, like, black people in African countries being, like, genocided or under horrible conditions, it's this, like, it's not my job to care about that, right? Because his job is just anti-capitalism. Like, it's that resentment, and you could tell, like, the negative attitudes towards women. These people will excuse and abide social discrimination as long as it's they're able to continue pursuing their anti-capitalist causes. This is why they like Marjorie Taylor Greene now, despite her anti-Semitism. That is not a hard line for them. Being opposed to the establishment is their hard line. So she is fair game for them to support. You're starting to see, like, the kind of logic there, right? Whereas AOC is genuinely up here. AOC is a purple. AOC is like a progressive. This is what I call, like, progressive space. AOC does support probably anti-capitalist causes or means, but to achieve an egalitarian end. And I do not believe AOC would, like, throw Hispanic people or black people or trans people under the bus to get it. If you had, like, a communist, right, behind closed doors, and you gave them, like, a button to press, right? Like, you could get rid of anti-capitalism, but this will also make all trans people explode. They're gonna press that button. They are going to press the button. That's just how that works. That's how they roll. You get, like, weird North Korea apologia. You get weird, like, that genocide isn't real or doesn't matter, actually. It's weird. It's weird. So weird. Nosballs, yeah, that's where you get into this, right? This is that, like, third, they call, like, this is, like, a centrist group now calling itself Third Way, but there were, like, Third Way movements, which were traditionally this, like, weird, like, Nazis with communist characteristics. That's where this shit is, okay? So, you do have an equivalent of this also, and this is why endorsing people like Marjorie Taylor Greene is not this red. That's not who she is, right? She does not come from that direction. Marjorie Taylor Greene comes from here. Marjorie Taylor Greene, frankly, is a grifter. She doesn't believe a lot of that. But Marjorie Taylor Greene comes from here, but she just happens to, like, work with the anti-establishment stuff, right? So these people are, like, just, like, groypers and shit, usually. We'll draw, like, a frog. Okay, like these, the Tucker Carlson types. We'll draw, there's our little frog. Our Tucker Carlson types, our Candace Owens types, our, Nick Fuentes types. These people are shockingly amicable towards socialism and communism. As long as they get their bigotry out of it. These people want a communist, equal, fair utopia with full welfare programs for white men. But mainly just white men. White Christian men. They're bringing religious elements too. One of the post-MAGA strains is going to be this America First movement, led by figures like Tucker Carlson. That's what this is going to be. That's what they're going to try and prey on. For them, it's about the nationalism and the fervor. Like, to this left side of the graph, people are way more ideological. On the left side, people are way more ideological. As we get into the right side, we get into the more like specifically how do you describe this? Personal, right? So you get this ideological people on the left and really selfish people on the right. Because even frankly, a lot of tankies don't see themselves as rich in communism. It's not really about that. They don't care living in like a pretty poor Soviet style like small apartment. If they feel like ideologically capitalism is defeated, they could like it's a intellectual kind of thing. They'd be satisfied with that. Progressives, like, I don't aspire for like Jeff Bezos' wealth, right? And this progressive, frankly, I think everyone should be middle class, right? People make fun of liberals for like, oh, you want to like just, you know, you wish you could just go to brunch and not worry about stuff. Yeah, honestly, I think that's the bar. I want a society where everyone can just go to brunch. They can afford brunch and no one has any big worries that are stressing them out and causing them physical health decline over several years, right? When it comes to this, my problem, this like white line, is where there should be like a left pipeline, we get this, right? Where it's not actually a left pipeline. It's starting with people who would already vote blue in the interest of egalitarianism, and even its whole blue circle, right, would include some socialist economic progressivism. But it's pulling them off into something else, right? And then these red people start like pulling them even further. Okay? Like, it's a transition. It's kind of like it's meant to do that. So people are like, hey, like, give Hassan Piker or whoever credit. Like, they're bringing people to the left. No, they're not. Hassan Piker is not targeting, like, the manosphere. He's not popular among young men. He's popular among mixed genders, but frankly, mainly young white women who are college educated. And he's, like, the goal of people like Hassan Piker is to pull people who are already on the left into an activist accelerationism, where they don't do anything and they end up supporting Republican wins, because the Republican Party as a whole currently is this yellow circle. And this blue is the Democratic Party, right? This is the American political divide. People say the left starts with anti-capitalism. That's not true. The American left starts at anti-racism. The defining thing that makes America America from its start, from its inception, is like race as a concept, right? Race predates capitalism as a concept a little bit. And through the Atlantic slave trade, that went on for a while. After the fact, we built up capitalist structures to like post hoc justify that and try to claim that like racial divides and treatment are like actually some matter of like worth and worthiness and success, and like moralize it through hard work and shit. But race came first by like a couple centuries. You can look it up. So that's the problem with this, is like the Young Turks. I am convinced, this is my conspiracy theory, I think the Young Turks is an op factory. Since they fucking started, the Young Turks' target audience has been young millennial, now into Gen Z Democrats, or like Democrat sympathetic, like by default kind of young people, and pulled them into like away from the Democratic Party. You can run through them, and every model they've had has gotten a little smarter and nuanced at it, right? And there's spin-offs. And that's the problem. Is like, I don't know if they're doing this intentionally, like that's their secret purpose, or they're paid to do that, or it's literally just through like such poor vetting of their own fucking sources, like, and their own people. But first you had Dave Rubin, right? Dave Rubin defected and is now, look at me, I'm a gay Republican. How do you do, fellow gays? What if we voted for Republicans, right? So Dave Rubin was like this, like, oh boy, come here with me. Then you have I think Jimmy Dore did the same kind of fucking thing in this, like, was it Jimmy Dore? Is that I'm thinking of? It was like another one of these, like, kind of proto-Hassan types of the class. Then you have Hassan, who does even better at this. Hassan is like this white to red, like, incarnate, right? Very, very, very effectively. While being racist and sexist and increasingly anti-Semitic. But I'm sorry, anyone who's like, wow, Hassan Piker is bad because he shocked his dog. Yeah, no shit, that's bad. But if you think that's the start of it, like, you've not been paying attention. Like, I'm sorry. It's anyone for whom like animal rights are like their first and only cause. Like, I feel like you're pretty privileged because you don't have like more pressing causes to worry about. But like that's the thing that keeps happening. And you have fucking Anna Kasparian, right? And they started refining this, and they got better at it. Anna Kasparian, how do you do, fellow libs? What if we were all transphobic? Isn't that fucking weird? Like, what if we just decided we are gonna hate trans people and pull them like, by pull like liberal women especially away from supporting Democratic Party using trans issues as a wedge issue. And then also just like blatantly anti-Semitic stuff. That's really weird. Anna Kasparian pulled them more towards the yellow than the red that Hassan does. Anna Kasparian, like Hassan Piker's like a little more towards the red side. Anna Kasparian goes like straight south. She started tweeting like 4chan stuff about like Jewish people. Like Anna Kasparian, like that's a weird one. That's a newer model. Not as effective, but that's like the end goal, right? It's like each time they're pulling people like a little more effectively. So it was able to kind of pull people like socially conservative in the same way that Dave Rubin did way early on. And Hassan Piker doesn't do as much, but like more intensely like into that, right? Then you have Cenk, like Uyghur, like the uncle who's in charge of the fucking thing, consistently will criticize Democrats and not criticize Donald Trump. It's an insane bias. You can see it all the time. Insane bias. All of these people are media trained. The Young Turks is many things. It is not poorly resourced. They are not naive and stupid and new at this. They've been at this for a very long time. They all have media training. They have to know what they're doing. They have to know what they're doing. And this is what they're actually doing. They're not bringing people left. They're bringing people from the left out of the left into this nonsense. Actually, this is the left. You, under no circumstances can you let Democrats do anything, right? So those are our arrows. We're gonna erase some of these arrows. Yeah, we'll keep the frog. Okay. So yeah, Grapers are kind of here, and then like the Tankies are here, but they end up having a coalition. And I bet you by 2028, these two groups are going to be like active collaborators and support like a Marjorie Taylor Greene campaign. These two groups can easily share a candidate. Because it's about like, this is the slopulism quadrant, right? This is about the anti-establishmentarianism. It's about the anti-Semitism. They are happy to have economically progressive policies as long as they can have socially conservative policies. That is the alliance they will make. Those are the terms. These people will give these people, like the socialism, these people will give these people the bigotry. They'll say that's not a hard line. And that's going to be like the fringe candidate, right? Those groups are merging over like the Israel-Palestine stuff. As that goes on, it gets lazier and lazier and accelerates more and more and more. It's not even really about helping the people of Gaza anymore. They don't seem to care about Palestine anymore. It's just this, right? It's just hate Israel, hate Jewish people. It's they're going off the rails at an accelerating rate, and we'll see where that goes. But I bet it's going to be it's called a red-brown alliance historically, by 2028, and like the Communist Party in Germany in the 30s also joined in kicking the Weimar Republic and said, after Hitler, our turn, right? So that's what that is. Like these people see each other as allies for now. They share a common interest in trying to frankly destroy the current state of things. Okay. In the pure egalitarianism camp, this would be your no kings liberals. This is like your suburban moms who, like, if you ask them about their politics, they will make, like, they're very, like, pro-pride. You know, they like Pride Month. They like being nice to people. They like libraries. They like parks. These people are your strongest solid allies, okay? Lots of, like, older ladies and suburban moms. These people show up to protest more so than the so-called leftists do. More consistently. They vote. They donate to charities. They volunteer. For these people, arguments of empathy are enough for them to oppose ICE. And that is a huge dividing line, right? Abortion rights, women's rights. Like, this is such self-evident to them. They care about social policy. They don't care about economic policy either way, right? Here you have a lot of leftists too. These are like your kind of pure Marxists who are just like, this is just actually like the Karl Marx types, right? You do get some of these people, they just don't give a shit either way. I think just by virtue of like peer pressure and social pressure, a Joe guy with a beard, close enough. These people will end up siding with these guys more because these guys are more like passionately Marxists. But a lot of people just like are nerds for Marxist books and don't vote, don't do anything. They're just fully irrelevant. It's a shame. I want them to vote. I want them to vote with us. I want them to do something. But these are the people who just care about like reading theory, and that's the beginning and end of it. These are the dedicated accelerationists. So here you have no kings. Here you have progressives. What's the Star Trek Academy symbol? Right? It's kind of like an A, like Starfleet. I was mentioning Starfleet Academy lately. Yeah, Starfleet. This is what I want, right? I want Starfleet. You have your AOC, like the more progressive wing. Here, this would be the establishment. The problem is establishment policies like this are statistically actually the most popular and the most effective. Because a lot of people are green and a lot of people are fucking selfish. But they pick policies that happen to be in the general interest of the public good and equality. I think someone like Destiny Streamer would be kind of over here. Not super purple, not super caring, but like a little, maybe, I don't know, maybe even this Aqua Quadrant, right? So here you have the establishment. So we'll just put like TNC. And this is why people are like out of touch, because most of the energy these days for the Democratic Party is shifting leftward a little bit, right? And there's like some good ways to do this and some bad ways to do this. So some would you rather questions to suss out where people's values are. Like, are they in the aqua side or like the purple side? Is someone like Oprah existing a good thing? Right? A black woman who, against the odds, rose up. Thank you so much, Nameless Henchman, for the $10. Serve a bigger platform. Thank you. It's got me completely backbuilt. Yeah. Fuck around midterms and beyond has got me in the pits. Yeah, so we're gonna fix that, okay? Like, my project is to fix this. I'm trained as like a game designer, an experience designer. I know people think about things, and like I look at that and I shut up and I listen, and I do lots of studies and like play tests and observational tests where I watch people do shit and I take notes. So that's like what I'm doing now. Like, this is a game. Like, this is a thing we can solve. This is like the landscape. So yes, we're gonna get into that. I promise you. And I'm gonna have tools to help other people do it too. That's the goal of this stream and like my broader project. So yes, we're gonna get there, right? So something like Oprah existing. Black woman, against the odds, got into like a position of higher class, right? Inspiring, rich, famous, good for her, right? However, she has become bourgeoisie. We are creating a new rich person. Growing inequality, right? Or, you know, another member of the upper class, another class trader. However, it's a win for evening out statistical overall racial diversity and gender diversity. Good thing or bad thing? These are the sorts of litmus tests, right? You can tug these things apart, right? A little bit. So these are the kinds of things where like Biden a lot talked about like building generational wealth among black families. Is a big thing. He wanted to like, you know, level the playing field a little bit, generation by generation. My big problem is that a lot of leftists assume we can just ignore social issues, which are dividing, and just talk about class issues, and then look, we have everybody, and think they can build this coalition on the left. They can build the Red Circle Coalition. But the thing is, religious conservatives fucking know already. They know they're poor too. They know about the class issues, but for them, their hard line is the yellow. So they like literally will reject communism or whatever if it includes like these people. This is like the Christian. Can we see the yellow? We'll have to pick a different color. We'll do like orange. Do the yellow orange. These are the religious people. Like, these are evangelical Christians. They're in it for the racism and the feeling that they are better than everyone else, and there's going to be a rapture. These people fundamentally don't want to join the Red Circle Alliance, and like this is why the Bernie Sanders types lose, because these people see that they want that the red people want these purple people in the coalition, and they say, fuck that shit, we're not doing that, because that goes against our yellow hard line, and that's why it bombs. So the Bernie Sanders coalition only ends up getting like this red slice, and that's why they don't have enough people, right? Because most racial minorities are frankly over on this side, because if life's hard for you and you're poor, you just need some money to get through the day. So these people on the green side are motivated, not ideologically pro-capitalist. No one's ideologically pro-capitalist. What the fuck even is that, right? It's not about theory in books. These people are motivated by making a personal money. It's like the I got mine kind of thing. The problem with this is like it can work in some ways and backfire in other ways. I think the abundance movement is really smart. The abundance movement kind of glues a lot of this together. I think abundance is really cool. Abundance is a book by Ezra Klein and a co-author. I'm so sorry, I forget his name. Where it pitches basically this idea that we have so much coming from a good blue place, like environmental regulation, and like, are we having gender inclusivity in our construction teams and shit? We have a lot of decades of stacked up regulations before we can build anything. They're small, marginal laws that are easy to pass and feel like it's a win for equality. But the consequence is we've not been able to build infrastructure or show people, prove to people efficiently, quickly, effectively, within your own term that we can actually achieve anything or build like houses or trains. And then we don't have public transportation. We don't have more cheap housing at the end of the day. And so abundance argues we should deregulate some of that stuff just so we can build more and get better results, right? That is a capitalist solution, a market-based solution. There's some deregulation, which is a little edgier, a little less blue, but we could start to get some better economic reforms from it, right? So it feels very much this establishment kind of like it's a money, like gaming policy idea, but it could kind of work. Abundance really kind of confounds us a little bit, but that's why it works and it has kind of a widespread appeal. So whereas on this side, you want like lots of populist, like sloppy-list kind of things. Like this is the ideological side, no matter where you are, whether you're just like a Marxist, a progressive, or a sort of a Nazbol. This will be the America First group, right? This is like nationalism. It's very much just ideological principles. Here on this green side, it's about like what makes economic sense and actually works. Here you'd have people who are like, we should not have nationalism because it's just bad trade policy. We don't make as much money from it, right? So you get kind of this blend, right? And you have people like coming from this way who are I think like better-hearted, like liberals, like more moderate liberals. You're like, hey, but these policies are actually working at stuff. The problem that why everyone hates the Democratic Party is the Democratic Party leans way too heavily into this side and forgets the rest of this, and ends up like supporting big money or things people do, and like this shit. Is bad. This is like massive PACs and special interest groups. People fucking hate this. Like, we should be pro AI. Does not really fucking work. Another thing in this quadrant here, this is sort of like the Yang Gang a little bit. Every cycle, as long as I've been alive, and I've not paid as much attention to politics as much when I was younger. I apologize. Like, I'm like middle school onwards. Have over time. There always seems to be like one kind of third way like candidate a little bit. He's like more like a libertarian, sort of like the edgy vote. For, how do I put this? Men who want to be edgy and different, whose politics comes down to kind of being okay with gay marriage, not liking, these people, not liking big government telling them no. They don't really care about gay marriage. They're pro-weed, tends to be their biggest thing. They want to feel smarter and different than everyone else. Sometimes these people will vote like libertarian. Sometimes they vote for like Andrew Yang. They'll probably vote for Ro Khanna. Is going to be the next one. That's going to be like that angle, which can kind of bounce around a little bit in through here, but like that's going to, it's about the edginess, right? It's just weird. Like you get a lot of people who are kind of like conservative and libertarian-y. They very much like making money and are very like have no ethical qualms about AI and shit, but like are weirdly okay with social issues. They'll be like, I don't mind trans people. People can do what they want. And you're like, what? That's because those are the green people, right? Those are the kind of like, these are like really the libertarians. These are like the true libertarians. These are just like the I want to make money people, right? These are people like lots of young men who like want to start crypto businesses are here. Lots of people who are kind of selfish, just want to make money and don't really care about anything else are down here. Lots of big corporations are green. You want to know what this is? Here's a great dividing line issue. Do you support corporations at Pride, sponsoring Pride, throwing money at Pride, doing big donations to LGBT orgs during Pride Month? That's a great example of this. Okay? As someone who's coming from a place of like, I want egalitarianism, I'm generally pretty progressive, but I see if like Disney or whatever wants to donate $10 million to like the Trevor Foundation, I would think that's a good thing. Because to me, that's them lending their institutional socioeconomic power in favor of egalitarianism. And I want the corporations to beg at my knees. I also want the cops to be begging at my feet, right? I mean, it's Pride. I want women to be begging at my feet. That's like what it's all about, right? To me, that's like, I'm gaining power from that. Two, anti-capitalists who are fundamentally motivated by that. These are the people, especially in the progressive, like in this kind of purpley sphere, who are like, fuck no, I want pride, but ban all corporations. Don't let them sponsor anything or give us any money. Because to them, that makes it impure, right? It's crossing this like ideological line. But these corporations, like Disney, for example, when Democrats are in charge and seem to hold social power, will happily throw money at progressive causes, right? We have our first gay character in a movie. Wow. They've done that several times. When they think the tides are changing socially, these people are like kind of apolitical when it comes to the social divide. They don't fucking care about the y-axis. These people will start throwing money. Hey, we made our first Christian character. Don't worry, we'll cancel Jimmy Kimmel. Just because they think that's what people want and makes them the most money. So these people are not like trustworthy allies if you care about this. Don't count on them to be there. I support them donating to Pride. I don't consider them in my back pocket. Like these are temporary allies at best, right? In the same way, a Marxist group could show the fuck up and help me out, and I would support that, right? But these are the kinds of lines to consider. And these people, frankly, like something like Disney, like canceling Jimmy Kimmel and then canceling it, it's not because they're personally evil. They're not like driven specifically by bigotry. They don't care. They're kind of blind to it. They just want to do what makes money. And they're looking at like voting statistics and think that's probably indicative of the culture at large. And they're making guesses based on that. That's why in the first year of the Trump regime, they did a lot of this shit. Then they saw how hard they got boycotted and they backed the fuck off. Because they know that's not working, right? But that's the kind of thing. Like these, like people tend to come from one of these directions, north, south, east, or west. But then they'll like take a spin into where they fall on the other axis. But still remember what people are primarily about. So any leftist infighting, what you're really looking for, yes, we're all in the purple space together, but who's in your coalition? Is it someone coming from this way? Or someone coming from this way? And even if you're coming from opposite ways, that's fine. You can have a temporary alliance. But don't for a second think they're going to have your back. Always, right? Crypto scammers would be in here. These would be crypto scammers. Like just solid green. Now, what is this like yellow-green section? This is actually MAGA. We'll just draw an orange. We're just going to draw a little orange. I hope that's okay. This is actually MAGA. And Turning Point USA, yes. This is like neocons, okay? A lot of neocons are here. Well, like MAGA is actually a bit of a, maybe that's, we'll draw an elephant, right? Or we'll just do like a GOP. I'm not sure how confident I want to be like describing this because it's a little... It depends. You get some variance here. There's a lot of right infighting right now, which is interesting. As much as we worry about left infighting, we got to worry about the right infighting too. And you'll notice the infighting quadrants, right, are opposite each other. Because it's where's the heart of the party? Where is the heart of the party? And for younger generations, everyone is sliding more left. So while it used to be very much here, this was the battle, for younger generations, this is the battle, and we're frustrated old people can't see it. Okay. This was traditionally like neocons, right? Who were very much, they want to do, like, they frankly kind of come more from the green direction as well as the DC, like older ones did. But some people come into this. Like, this is basically, the Republican Party traditionally has two castes of members. You have the rich. These are the people at country clubs, right? These are like the CEOs. They just want to make money. They don't give a shit. Like Disney, right? These people do tend to be a little more personal. Like, they are bigoted. They prefer the bigotry. Like, they go to a country club, they own a company, they have a net worth of too many digits. But they happen to be personally homophobic or whatever, never check that. But they have enough money that they can just pay candidates to win local races to, like, support opposing gay marriage, right? Like, these are like the shitty, like, the liches that you find at a country club. They're all like dusty mummies. They support interventionist, like, war hawk stuff in the Middle East. They love bombing other countries, right? They have investments in the military-industrial complex, and they don't really care. They also do believe, to some extent, in supremacy, right? They see Americans, like white Americans, as more important or more real or more human than, like, brown people in the Middle East. That's why they land here pretty comfortably. This is a pretty strong alliance. It's pretty huge. Um, you also get a lot of people in here who are like, hey, do you want a tax break? Just have a tax break. Fuck it. Have some money. Is that good for the system or people overall? No. But it helps you personally in the short term. So you'll go for this. The problem is this is the lowest common denominator, easiest thing to fall into. Because everyone grows up in this imperfect society with some, like, biases that are taught to you or inherited because we live in an imperfect society. We look around, we learn shit, we see what we see. And then it's, hey, you want some personal benefit, right? And a lot of people will be selfish, especially when they're just, like, in a ballot box and no one's looking over their shoulder. This is, like, the impulsive thought, right? And hey, what if you could just, like, be a little racist next? That's okay. Evangelicals are ideologically driven by supremacy, but they will also usually vote for this. They'll come into this. Because this gets them some things they want, right? They get a little bit of money. Not as much, not nearly as much, but they achieve their bigotry goals. This is the alliance. These people want the bigotry and the Christian supremacy. These people want to make a fuck ton of money. So these people fund these people because these people are corporations. They're not actually people. They don't have enough votes. But these people have a fuck ton of people and a fuck ton of votes. So this alliance and funding candidates that will say, I'm a Christian, let's be racist, but I will also give massive tax breaks to corporations. This is how the Republican Party wins elections and gets the big high rollers to give them the money to win successful campaigns and then get all the votes. This is a very powerful alliance. What we are seeing in the end of MAGA is this is breaking the fuck down on social media. Hard. Okay? Because MAGA brought in a special stupid group of people. Okay, well, we'll do that kind of here. And I think MAGA at its purest is kind of just here. They don't care if they're going to get rich or not. A lot of them know they aren't at this point, but they still are not leaving. So you're seeing a lot of the independents who voted for Trump just because they thought he would lower prices. Those are green people. They're independents. They don't mind the racism. They knew the ICE shit was going to happen. They didn't care as long as they got theirs. And intuitively, on some level, they thought that would make things better for them. That was a cost they were willing to pay. So they hit that button. Now, because of gas prices, those are the people, those are the independents who are actually going to flip. A lot of independents are just green. And that's why it's important we do have this section. Because this will catch them, right? If we don't have this, we say, hey, don't worry, vote for this progressive. It won't help you a lot personally, but, like, it'll be good for people in general. This is very theoretical. This is very privileged and middle class. Because you don't need, like, $10 more this month, right? So this is like, then you lose them and they'll keep voting Republican because they don't think they have a better option. But, you know, this gets a lot of people. So that's that flip, right? But most of MAGA is in it ideologically at this point. They think Trump is some kind of God king and he's going to put America first and make America great. And they want him to finish the job. They don't understand yet why he has not massacred all liberals. And that's what they're frustrated about. They're frustrated that there are still some immigrants, and why are they holding back? They think this Republican administration has been compromised, captured by establishment interests who won't go hard. They fear this establishment has been captured by Israel and is holding back on fulfilling the promise, right? They're worried that Israel is outside of the yellow circle a little bit. And they're getting pissed off and really upset. And they're getting antsy. So this America First movement of, like, fringe candidates, so these are Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Marjorie Taylor Greene, are going to market themselves as America First, and therefore the true heirs to MAGA. They will go maybe a little more socially progressive, a little more economically progressive to pick up some red votes and expand. But, like, this is what they're trying to build out as, like, a new thing. Even these Marxists are kind of naive in that, like, they're not going to get this group of people to vote. Usually they don't turn out. But they are going to get a lot more yellow people. So they're going to shift hard socially to the right. It's already happening. You've seen, like, what went from principled causes of, like, I disagree with genocides or Israeli apartheid in Palestine. I oppose the Israeli state, to, like, just anti-Semitism. Like, they're loosening their belts a little bit. So that we're really just going to capture, like, this much, but then they're going to have huge slippage into this way. And that'll be, like, their alliance. So, like, their pipeline is kind of fracturing, which means there is good time to rebuild, to hold the blue line and pull people into the blue line, right? What I want to do is not pull people out of blue, but to pull people into blue. I want to see some of this. I think like liberal policy, like the actual nerd and the justification for it. There is good stuff. I want good stuff to happen in good faith. I'm happy to talk to communists and stuff because I've been there. You know, I've read their books, right? But like the concept of what liberalism actually is, people have such a wrong idea of what liberalism is. Liberalism is really just this concept of like egalitarianism. Liberalism is just this concept of being anti-authoritarian. Liberalism is this concept that like we are all in fact just born equal and should have a vote or a say. And to me, frankly, I think democratic socialism is like a perfectly logical natural evolution and succession and fulfillment of that initial premise of what liberalism could be. So I want to say like, hey, this is amicable. Let's break down like this wall a little bit. Like let's pull people in like, you know, I want more people on this side of the red and less like on this side of the red. Or especially not here. Like I will say like, hey, worry about someone like Hassan Piker because Hassan Piker is actually like over here. Like he has not checked his bias when it comes to women. A lot of leftist creators, a lot of like the men who think they can build the working class, they don't realize they're not making any of these gains. They're not getting these people off the couch. They're just letting these people in, which makes their spaces and communities fucking dangerous for trans people, fucking dangerous for immigrants, fucking dangerous for people of color, fucking dangerous for women. Like a lot, very clearly. Look at the comment sections. Look at the like chat feeds on some of these leftist streamers. Yikes. It's way worse than they take credit for. And they have no interest in stopping it because they're not concerned with this blue line. They're, in fact, more willing to, like, open the doors to the yellow line because they think that's getting them more people. And it's really, it's like a mutual thing. They're just trading people. But it's giving Groypers more power. It's putting them on the board because they were just penned into here. And now they can kind of free flow around. So that's kind of the state of things, right? So we need to, like, I think a lot of talk of ideology of, like, hey, this is actually how we achieve something fair. Like, what I think, frankly, is because I talked about already, race predated capitalism. And it's not like this, we could just, you know, just focus on class issues and then we'll get rid of racism in the process. That's not true. You need to actually, why you need some of this on the aqua side, why you need some of the, like, let's have generational wealth and even the board, is if race becomes a statistically irrelevant part of class divides, if a black person and a white person are just as likely to be rich and poor, only then, once you get rid of race making sense as a category, once you like get rid of all racial discrimination and difference, only then will people actually have class consciousness. I swear to you, like that's just how it's got to go, right? Because when people are treated differently, like economically, socially, and like locked in, then people do not see themselves fundamentally as part of the same class or group as people of color. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And people like to then justify their racial biases and unequal treatment as like a just world fallacy thing. And they'll get really anxious about that because like it just scares people and they don't want to question it. They don't want to question that hierarchy that's been established. And the whole line. It doesn't work. So like this is like the short term is we're meant to like fix all of the racial inequities like along economic lines and then like progress kind of here, right? And this actually we get like a kind of class privilege right now. So ideological arguments, clarifying and explaining policy, like the practical stuff of Democrats are actually achieving things that are good. Because it's just like sense of, oh, they don't do anything. Because people don't actually read the news. They have ad blockers. If you ask them what Kamala Harris's policies were, they can't tell you, or they'll just say Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney is not a policy. It was a marketing thing that was not for them. It was meant to bring in other people. And they're meant to have the discernment to know some things are not always for them, and that was for other people. But I was blasted constantly with ads for Kamala Harris talking about like it was like a down payment on a home for first-time homeowners to start a family and settle down. That was a big policy. Price gouging on groceries is something she's going to take on, right? Child tax credit, like great things, right? Like, there are policies that do stuff, right? But these people just are out of touch with like what's actually going on and just having some satisfying proof. Also, like one big policy push that I wanted to do, right? here's a big win. If you want to like build a new door here, we want to build a new door into this way. Here's the one concession absolutely to make. No AIPAC. No AIPAC. This is the single issue for these voters. Frankly, this is the better one. No ideological super PACs at all. No big money. No dark money in elections. And just do grassroots stuff is winning, actually. If you look at lots of small races right now, being a grassroots candidate is superior marketing. You will get more money in grassroots and feel trusted if you do that, right? I think the Democratic Party, genuinely, as a platform, needs to say fuck Israel. Israel not only like is just bad and inhumane, Israel specifically didn't make like a deal with Biden and Harris to give them a hard time and tank their elections to get Donald Trump, who lets them do whatever the fuck they want, right? So I think it's totally fair for nostalgia Democrats to say, you know what? Fuck you, Israel. You didn't help us. Why should we help you? I'm sorry. That's a hard band-aid to rip off. Look at the statistics. I would not have supported this a few years ago. This is now the majority opinion of voters. I want a popularist campaign and platform. This is a stance that needs to be taken. You're going to lose any argument or any vibes in a space. If we die on this hill, fuck it. Fuck it, right? But the better option of this, the better version of this, that also helps you dodge any anti-Semitism, is say, not just ban AIPAC, ban all PACs. That's how you win that, right? That restores that door over here. On this side, how you bring people in from this side, this is where we can talk about gas prices and affordability. Okay? This doorway is affordability. Affordability. It's a long word. There you go, affordability. That brings people in. That brings in lots of independence. You will notice we cannot cross this yellow line. The fundamental divide in America from its goddamn inception has been race. And sexism also. But, like, race and slavery is, like, very, very, very fundamental. Fuck slavery. Fuck racism. This is the hard one to fucking crack. Because these people, ideologically, principally, they just hate minorities and want it to stay that way. They will vote for the most bigoted candidate they can. You're not going to get these people over, okay? I've seen a lot of well-meaning, I love these people, centrist, not very online, not very media savvy, like no kings libs, like older people, try to make appeals to empathy about the ICE raids, and then they realize why they fucking lose. These people are super nice. They will show up and vote for you. Do not let these people lead the fucking charge, okay? Because more people are yellow than are blue. By a little bit, just because of who controls media outlets. This is changing generationally. Blue gets bigger and yellow gets smaller. But given the past 10 years, this is a lot of power and a lot of people right now. We need to make arguments via red sympathetic or green sympathetic means. There is no direct path to get from red to yellow. This is why I like this model, right? Like you can't really get there. If you make an appeal to empathy, like what about the immigrants though? They don't give a fuck. They want the immigrants to hurt. If that sounds objectively evil to you, I agree. But that's how that fucking works, and that's why that doesn't work. But stories like that, what about the immigrants? Those are really good for the base. Like, they are moral, they are good. I just think that's more inward focusing than outward focusing messaging. That's kind of like how you build like the heart of your base a little bit, right? That's in there. For these people, how they build their evil heart of the base. Not a bad thing. We'll just draw a trash can. This is them sharing clips of any immigrant anywhere in the world doing any kind of crime, regardless of whether or not they would be fairly prosecuted for it. Especially if they are fairly prosecuted for it. Fuck it, they don't care. They just want to like show you pictures of minorities who are ugly, or doing a crime so you can be angry, right? They want your heart to race. They want your like amygdala to be fucking flexing as hard as it can. Um, they do that on social media all the time. It's so easy to find a fucking clip, right? Of just any person doing anything bad that happens to not be a white Christian man. Or like any trans woman who doesn't pass. Fuck it. They make shit up. They will AI generate this, right? But that's how they like, you know, re-up the heart of their base. Here, the way to do it, and the winning strategy actually is not going all in on the Gavin Newsom be an asshole strategy. Sometimes it's a little bit of fighters, but mainly it's just kindness. I think that's our unique angle, is kindness. If you want hate, these people can give you better hate. But kindness is so good. I love kindness. Joe Biden had that a little bit. He was like a little old, was a little faded, but that worked for him and he won. Kamala Harris was starting to get that. That became repeal a little bit, but it was a little too late, not enough time for it to resonate. Obama had this. The Obama years were so fun. Like, these people can't be kind if lives dependent on it. Watch like the Superman movie from last year, and it shows like how Lex Luthor is just like seething and raging, and like just has nothing on unabashed kindness and love, right? I think the key to winning is this like Steven Universe, like just I like people and I want to help and be good, like this Mr. Rogers, Superman, Steven Universe. I think that's like our superpower that we need to tap into way more, right? So don't bash the empathy, but that's like for us. That's not for them. Hope Core. Hope Core. That's the key to all of this. Bill and Crazy, thank you so much for $50. Thank you. Yes, I want to get this in front of more people. Yes, I'm going to work on that. So that's the thing I'm working on, okay? Yes. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So how do I get this in front of people? First of all, I might make like a fancier, better graph of this at some point. I would like other streamer communities. If anyone could, I don't know, show this VOD or whatever, to someone like Destiny, who's a big liberal streamer. I feel like I'm putting into words a lot of stuff because I just do like observational testing for like a living and like professionally. I've done a lot of that. Yeah. So, but like, I think this puts into words a lot of the contemporary framing we actually need, and I hope is like a little helpful to people. So that's part of it. Second part is how do I win on media? We're gonna go back to. I'll leave this up on screen because it's fun to look at. I have been reading. Oh, thank you, my guy, for the little heart. No King's Libs are so good. Yeah. Oh yeah. So, Bernie bros that don't care about race and gender and LGBT issues are in the orange, yes. Why the Bernie Sanders coalition strategy lost? Bernie Sanders recognizes, I think in good faith, Bernie Sanders thought we could build a pretty big red coalition if we shut the fuck up about some social issues, and then we're able to open up to a lot of these, like, white working class men who just feel alienated by the social issues, right? And to be fair, there are a lot of men online you can find, especially, like, who do say, like, I don't know, I liked Obama, but I feel like all this feminism stuff just, like, alienated me, and I feel like no one's talking to me, right? The problem is, you can make affordability arguments that appeal to everybody and just aren't specific to any demographic. That's fair, we should do that, right? But this rejection of it and sounds of social issues made a lot of people nervous. And it didn't really gain a lot of these white working class people, men especially, as much as, like, MAGA did, which just had a way better pull and appeal to those people, right? That's kind of neutral. It was not a unique edge. So they split those people a little bit. And sure enough, when it became like just the Hillary, right? All of this orange group didn't vote for Hillary. They would have voted for Bernie because they were like, you know, in this orange quadrant. They voted for Trump. This is why, because this is where they actually were. But the Bernie Sanders coalition theory did not crack into blue as hard. So it sort of lost this top part. I showed this before. But they sort of gained like some of this red and a lot of this orange and maybe some of this yellow. I would say the problematic Bernie bros, honestly, were kind of like around here a little bit. Like they were kind of really openly begging it. That's why like it put people off, right? So even though like Bernie was able to gain some in this orange space, it was like pluses over here. It cost them like a lot over here, like across the whole spectrum. A lot of like black people were nervous about it. And this is why I think like Marxism is a useful lens for discussing class issues. A little outdated. I think there may be updated versions of that would be more useful. But lots of Bernie bro leftists cannot to this day explain, because they can't do it with just a Marxist lens alone, why Bernie Sanders failed to have strong support among black voters. Look at the stats. Was not popular among black voters. Just wasn't. That's okay. You maybe win a coalition, just like math-wise. You might have enough other people elsewhere. He just didn't. And the problem is because a lot of black people historically have pretty damn good reason to be keenly aware of this blue versus yellow divide. and it was not passing the sniff test. This was sus. Bernie Sanders did not make large outreaches or efforts to win the endorsements of like black communities, black churches. You know, there's a lot of like black organizations. Just didn't really try because he thought just by shutting up being silent on this, he could like get a lot of these people instead. Didn't work. Bernie Sanders' attempt was to shift politics more into a divide of red versus green than opposed to blue versus yellow. It was a hypothesis. Good on him for testing it. Didn't work. Didn't have all the gains he wanted. Had more like harms, right? AOC is smarter. Because whereas Bernie Sanders was like, we're going to be red, AOC, I think, is more in this purple space and has managed to hold most, but not all, of the red area. Like, and like, she's lost some in the orange. But AOC can also reach out to a lot of the blue and the aqua. AOC has two teachers. AOC has Bernie Sanders, yes. But AOC also really, over time, in this way, I really respect AOC, learned from Pelosi. She is not just a copy of Pelosi. She does not do everything Pelosi does. I do not fully endorse everything Pelosi ever did. But was able to, like, moderate herself a little, like, moderate in terms of, like, don't come off as crazy, right? Like, AOC was able to sort of reel it in a little bit, become, like, less of just a populist firebrand, and, like, be in it to win and to play the long game, which Pelosi, to her credit, was very good at. As much as people hate on Pelosi for being establishment, Pelosi actually gained her reputation from being, like, one of the first women to do this, being the first woman Speaker of the House. Pelosi was considered a radical feminist. Like, Pelosi was once, like, too progressive. And the fact that Pelosi is now considered, like, too establishment really speaks to the success of Pelosi at moving the needle left. And part of the Pelosi method in the playbook was Pelosi let herself be demonized and be the fall person because she could take it. Not only by the right, like towards, you know, any Democratic policy win, let them make fun of her and use her as a target. She could like face tank it, but also let her own party members blame Pelosi so they could get off scot-free and achieve their goals. And secretly, they're on the same side. But Pelosi was like big enough of a person to do that, right? So, you know, respect credit where credit's due. I don't support members of Congress like trading on stocks. I think we should just ban that outright for all of them. Pelosi is not the worst offender. But that's kind of, you know, her reputation's kind of been tarnished. She let it happen for the sake of a greater good, which is a very big person to do and a lot of like nuanced, clever maturity. But AOC learned from that. And I think whereas Bernie Sanders will do like this blue-gray, Bernie Sanders coalition attempted to be a little bit like, we're going to cut that and then like take all of this. The AOC coalition, which I think is a bigger reach, is going to be like, we're going to cut that, but take all of this. Right? Which is a bigger piece of the pie. It's a bigger pie. It's smart. So, a lot of people, and this is the unfortunate thing, is this orange segment, right? It's very unfortunate. AOC can bring herself to, like, the populist a little bit. A lot of people won't vote for AOC because she is a Hispanic woman. Even a lot of people who, like, were Bernie supporters, or, like, would be those, you know, like, bros who are going to vote for Bernie in the primaries, Bernie lost, they went to become Trump voters. Sadly, a lot of them won't vote for AOC, even though she champions a lot of the same politics. And the danger with AOC is she cannot really cross this yellow line as much. Her gains are going to be small here. I think she's enough of a good populist speaker that she could still thread it in and take some of these orange people. But AOC, I think, can also do a better job than Bernie could of being respectful a little bit towards the establishment and a little bit towards, like, just women and minority groups in general and social issues, whereas Bernie shut the fuck up about it and then failed. If AOC is considering a presidential run, which I don't even know if she is at this point, she might go for Senate, maybe too early for her in her career. I could see, frankly, AOC being, like, drafted into being VP for whoever does run and win. She would be good at it. But I understand AOC is also aware, because she's a woman of color, she's under a higher judgmental lens, and, like, the stakes are higher, and if she fucks up a little bit, if she flips a single question, people come down on her super, super hard for it. So I'm not sure if she thinks she's ready. She might be grow her power, but she's, like, maturing a lot and staying in the game. If AOC wants to seriously do it, she should try to keep in, like, black voters a lot more. Like, reach out to those, like, other coalitions and groups. I think she could do it. She's also a woman and can, like, get to lots of women's groups and do that. Each of those does have a cost, but also has a gain. And I think she could maybe gain more than she loses. AOC does not seem like on paper she would win, but I think she has the talent where she could surprise us and do better than we think. Oh gosh, yes. Okay, so whoever, uh, whoever becomes the Democratic candidate needs to conscript by any means necessary Mamdani's mother, who is a director and responsible for his media strategy. Okay? Ideally, they could come up to her very kindly and offer her tea at like a nice cafe for a meeting, and then offer her a lot of money, right? To come and be in charge of the media strategy for the mainstream Democratic presidential candidate in 2028. If instead they need to have Mamdani, right? Like in one of those like fake cheesy 2000s videos and be like, we have your son. You must work for us or else. We are big donkey party. Wahaha. Right? I think he would do it as a bit. Just, whatever. Fucking get her, right? Get her. Get Mamdani's mom by any means necessary. Mamdani's mom, this is what we're going to get into. Let's talk about media strategy, right? Is like the key is cause and effect. I took a specific class in my like UX design degree on like storytelling and media, and basically crafting not just ads but like demos for an app or something like that, where there's specific formulas and structures for how you present and tell this story. You need to present like, here's a problem, here's what's causing it, here's our new app, and here's how it's going to fix it. Any Mamdani video, we can watch one, is fantastic at this. Not only is campaign like, hey, here's bad things happening and here's why, but then also, here's what I'm going to do about it, or here's what I have been doing about it, or here's what I just did, and here's what's going to help. So much of the trust deficit around the Democratic Party is you have people say like, Dems don't do anything. I'm not even going to write that, it's going to be too long. So, like, Democrats don't do anything. There's no sense of this cause and effect. Either we end up doing things and they don't work, or like they're stopped, right? Which means we don't get to do anything, so we don't even get that to have an effect because we're stopped by other people. Or we do something and it works and then we don't talk about it. Which means Republicans get a lot of credit for everything they do. Republicans can stop us from doing anything and then we get the blame. We can do things and we don't get the credit. Or they do things and we get the blame. It's just this cause and effect. It's how you rebuild a trust deficit. It's a trust thing. It's brand equity. Short term, right? People have a sense of what Mamdani's doing. Agree or disagree with it. And frankly, most people are going to agree with it because through his media and his videos about it, he's setting the terms of that discussion. He's going to, people are going to understand what he's doing. And if you're making the video, like an ad, most people are just going to see that and believe it. He gets the credit. He fucking wins, right? So this is the key. Cause and effect. That's how you rebuild that. People would not hate Democrats or be angry about Democrats if they actually saw what Democrats are doing. They'd be like, oh, that's not so bad. That's kind of nice, actually. So yeah, that's the big key, right? So when it comes to media, we're gonna drag our thing right over here and just keep working in Paint because I like working in Paint. It's fun. I actually have a Google Doc we're gonna make. Okay, yeah, we're gonna go back to our Google Doc. 1 second. Whoosh, whoosh. There you go. So the Hanky Pipeline takes already socially progressive and curious people, offers pure Marxism as the best answer, and then pressures them to disavow social progress for the sake of Marxism as perfect progress. This is how that works. Whoosh. There we go. Okay? These are the two pipelines we face. What we need Here's we're gonna get into this. We're gonna do what we need. Is I don't want a watermark. A pipeline. A pipeline that does a pipeline that turns non-democratic voters into democratic voters. And my politics, frankly, I would consider pretty bipartisan. I like good things. I want you to do well and to have money in your pocket and afford what you need. And have a fair shot no matter what. I like democratic can be whatever you want. Doesn't mean I am not paid by the establishment. I've had 2 kind donors to the stream. That's why I'm getting paid. But and like frankly, like anyone who is an outdated democratic establishment person, like Chuck Schumer, who I think is like in our MS Paint graph. Like Chuck Schumer, his problem is he's like way too just green and not like he's not nearly left enough. He does not get it. Chuck Schumer is like kind of more like down here and it's like, it doesn't work, right? The Democratic Party can be whatever we want and it should be something better. So I'm saying Democratic because I view that as basically a shell ripe for the taking for the best person you got. But I don't think that orgs like the Young Turks or Hassan Piker get any fucking credit for pulling people left because they pull people from the effective left into the ineffective so-called left that ends up being socially right, if not apolitical, right? Like you can find a lot of leftists, self-described leftists, who build coalition, people who want to throw people into camps, which is fucked up and not true. That's not the left. That's not the left. It's not the left. It's not good. If you think North Korea is good, if you think Soviet Russia is good, I'm gay. Fuck you. And all they end up doing is anti-democratic campaigning, right? We'll do this like anti-democracy, right? These people are pro-republicanism, pro-republican and like anti-democrat. And these people are just anti-democrat. Anti-democrat voters. And, so pro-democrat, just vote for something good. And if you want to be a socialist and run a Democrat, now's a good fucking time. And then we need to be like anti-republican, right? Because we can do this. And then we need not only a pipeline to get people in, then we need to like reassure hype / community build within the base. So you bring people into the team and then people want the team, right? Be proud of it. What I don't like right now, my biggest problem is that the first thing people have to say or do after saying they're Democrat and talking about Democrat is apologize for being a Democrat and apologize for voting for Democrats. That's a problem. No one else needs to qualify themselves. We immediately need to qualify ourselves and make excuses for shit. I don't want to do that. That's bad. It's cringe. It doesn't work. I like good things, actually. I identify as a good guy. I want to be a good guy. If there is anything bad that you feel is indefensible, eject it. And at this point, frankly, it's Israel, which is statistically already going to be a boring popularist position. Israel has not helped. Sorry. They've not. I still believe in a two-state solution. Netanyahu's government is in no way, now or ever, a part of a two-state solution. And as far as I'm concerned, is kind of an enemy state. By sabotaging Democrats and supporting Republicans, leading to the destruction of America, European alliances, and the health and well-being of the world, I think there's a fair argument to make that even to a moderate, like more of a neo-lib or like even like a warhawk conservative, Israel is kind of an enemy state. That's just the way that is going. I'm sorry. Sorry. I think we could focus a lot on making sure that Jewish people feel welcome and included here. And a big problem is that if Democrats cannot provide a stopgap of fair, leveled anti-Zionism, too many people, an overwhelming number of people, are going to continue onward and flock towards full-blown anti-Semitism. And that is just bad. Because the people that come into it being mad about Israel is their one thing, yes, they're going to blow past the Democratic Party and vote for a Nazi. They're gonna vote for like the Tucker thing. Yeah, no one's against war, right? So okay, so we need some popularist positions. So here's what I'm arguing for, right? At a high level, popularism, not populism. Different people like different things. No, Patrick, Israel is not the sole determinant factor in national elections. Sorry, it's just not. Everyone who's seen the Democratic autopsy says it was a mess of a document, not really worth releasing anyway. It does not have any clear, like, singular cause. It's a bunch of, like, nothing burger, boring, nonsense little stuff about affordability and shit. Israel is just, like, such a niche topic. It's the sole factor for a lot of people who don't vote anyway, so it's not showing up in statistics. We didn't do something about it to get those people on our side as loud supporters, but, like, populists think that populism is the solution to everything, and it's just not. It's just not. It's just not. It's holding up this tanky pipeline, which isn't helping us anyway. We need to, like, redirect a little bit, but it's just not. Yeah, it's not about labels. We're not really gonna go with labels, ideological labels as much in the chat. I don't know if there's a word for it. But, like, ideological labels do not lead with those. Those are highly alienating because those labels are heuristics. A lot of people have different things that they've seen and understood in forming those heuristics. If one person says they're a communist, they're turning off someone else because when they hear communist, like, you mean two different things by that word, it's useless. You've lost people on a hard line. The way more effective way to draw coalition is to be issue-based specifically and goal-based specifically. It's not camp tribalist-based. Yeah. So, like, but populism is not an end-all be-all, right? Different people do different things. So we're going to focus on, like, winning issues statistically. Okay? Things that most people are on board with. Talk about issues specifically. Issues and goals. Not ideological camps. Okay? Instead of leading with, I'm a socialist, lead with, you deserve a raise at work. Do we even need to pull the difference in approval between those two ideas? I think that's going to work pretty damn well, right? I want content that anyone can come across it, and they will like it, and they'll join a cause. We need people to, not collective action through, like, a formal organization or an ideological camp or, like, a union, but connective action where different people, for their whatever reason, can come to the table in the party and support a broader goal because it supports their individual goal. Recently I reread Politics for Power. It's a really good book. It talks about things like that. You can build coalition with people around specific goals and stuff. Not an ideological label, not a partisan thing. And you can create even some shocking bipartisan and independent support among unlikely people if you go issue by issue and achieve things on those single issues. And if you want to win for a campaign or an election, talk in terms of those singular issues. Because you could have an independent voter who's just, like, cares about, like, a money guy, right? If you just talk in terms of those issues as individual separate pieces of content, you could bring them to the table and they will vote for you, even if they oppose, like, social issues, right? But, like, this is how you do it. Team profit sharing, yeah, that works too. Yeah, that works. Yeah, like, one thing at a time, right? Yes, Netanyahu is the bad guy. Netanyahu is a bad guy. Netanyahu is an evil, stupid, evil man. Yes. Okay, talk about issues more specifically, not ideological camps. Cool. Trust. No big, dark, money, undisclosed, whatevers. Don't avoid issues if they're haunting you. Like, don't avoid... If someone confronts you with something, like... it's like this dodging bullets thing versus biting bullets kind of thing is a big issue. Okay, yeah. So, like, this is the problem with this is trust. Chorus is an org that came about a year or two ago. Chorus is pretty new. What Chorus did, it's a 501c3 or 4, I forget. It's a nonprofit that was throwing funding towards some like pro-democratic creators just to keep doing what they're doing, because the Democratic Party clearly does not fucking understand a goddamn thing about messaging. And the thinking was like, we could just give them money to keep doing what they're doing so they could do it full time. I think it's a cool idea. I'm not paid by them. I would like to be paid by them. Taylor Lorenz was not liked by the Chorus creators who talked about, I said mean things about her in a group chat. So out of spite, Taylor Lorenz, who is not progressive, was willing to throw the entire org under the bus with hit piece, throwing around keywords like dark money, which is sort of a implied racist dog whistle. So you tank the whole thing, and then threw mass Gamergate-esque suspicion upon any female person of color or female person of color creator on who is saying anything pro-voting, pro-left, right? It's pathetic, right? But we can learn from that. The concept of getting paid by an organization. People hate corporations. People hate PACs. People hate establishments. Focus on individual candidates as members of a party, not the party. No one likes the DNC. But what if instead you get posts like, hey, Abigail Spanberger, who happens to be the Democratic governor of Virginia, just passed some like universal pre-K shit, right? That's a person doing a thing that clarity, that cause and effect, right? We're going to put clarity, cause and effect is a big thing. Okay. That's like a big thing, right? Dems don't do anything. So like, credit wins. Credit loss, causes of losses as well. Blame losses. The Chuck Schumer strategy, the Chuck Schumer / DNC establishment strategy sucks, okay? No one likes them. Because here's what they do. Stay silent / neutral on dividing issues to not leave out any party members, any elected party members who split from the base. Okay? This is a stupid strategy, right? They won't announce their, like, blue dog flank or their progressive flank. They kind of stay eerily silent on shit. And when they do, the problem with this is that just makes nobody trust them because no one knows where you stand. And this is the problem Kamala Harris had, where two leftists, she was too establishment and conservative. Two, anyone in the middle, they thought Kamala Harris was a wacko progressive. Weird enough, like wherever you stand on the spectrum, you're probably surprised at hearing the other part because that's how our media was segregated down the line. It was not clear. Okay? Silence is... We'll put silence as violence because that rhymes. Okay? When you're silent about these things, it's not reading as neutral. It's reading as untrustworthy. Okay? Authenticity and trust is built on expectations. Okay? Where's my mouse? I lost my mouse. Okay, there we go. It's built on expectations. This is something I've learned as a designer a lot, again and again and again. I said this before, right? If you have an App Store page, looks good, we'll do like a Punnett square. We'll do like a chart. Well, yeah, we're gonna do like a Punnett square chart, right? So I just need to demonstrate this concept for you. Let's do 4x4. I think that was a mistake. I think I need a 3x3. Insert. Yeah. Okay. So here we have like your App Store page. And here we have your app. We have it's good. It's bad. I'm doing this wrong, I think. Oh yeah. No, yeah, we are. Okay. App is bad. App is good. App is bad. App Store page is good. App Store page is bad. Okay? So this is about expectations, and it's like, I swear this is gonna wrap back in. Alright. If you are looking to download an app, and the App Store page gives you a clear idea of an app that's gonna be awesome, and you have a sense of what it's gonna do, and it does that thing, you download it, it works like you thought it would, that's you like it. Okay? If the App Store page looks bad, or it gives you one sense of the things to do, it's like, it looks kind of not great, and it's meant to be good, you are pleasantly surprised. If the App Store page looks good and looks fancy, and you have a sense of what this app's going to be, and download it, and it just doesn't do that thing, even if it's good at something else, but it's not that thing, you hate it. If the App Store page is bad, and the app is bad, you don't mind. Okay? This is a huge difference in expectations. And it's like, this is the thing we found in studies. In studies. So many people obsess over it, developers, right? Is their app good enough? And they can try this, right? But like, I mean, it's weird, right? They would focus on making their app really good, and they would have this outdated early draft App Store page. And no matter what, like, they weren't getting great feedback or great downloads because they didn't realize this, right? Or they made something that was really good, but just not the message that, or the understanding that people were getting from the App Store page, right? Like, they were being advertised one thing and getting something else, and they hated it no matter what. And setting the right expectations, a clear expectation of what you're getting, is so much better and more useful and more important than whether or not, like, the thing you actually have, right? So, like, if Democrats can't do anything, let people know it's because Republicans have all the seats and power. Give Democrats the seats and power, and they can do stuff. Democrats can't do anything. You shut up about it. People blame the Democrats. Okay? Republicans can't do anything. They blame the Democrats. People blame the Democrats. Republicans do something. Republicans take credit. People credit the Republicans. Republicans do something. Republicans, oh yeah, the Democrats do something. Democrats shut up about it. People don't like the Democrats. Right? There's no credit. There's no cause and effect. All this kind of thing. So you need to set those clear expectations. What instead the media strategy needs to be is clearly define the party along mainstream popularist winning strategies, winning policies, winning positions that are the most popular, right? Okay? So like pro-abortion. Now, abortion is a dividing single issue for a lot of voters. A lot of voters won't like you if you're pro-abortion. Okay? That's just how it is. But it has like 60% plus support nationally. So the DNC should just unapologetically say, hey, we're pro-abortion. And then once you do, if in a red state, your candidate doesn't want to run abortion. Okay? Rather than just shut up about it, or like any of this stuff, right? it should be okay for the candidate and the DNC leadership, Democratic leadership, to say, hey, we don't agree on this, but that's okay because we're representing people overall, nationally, they're representing people in their state. And then rather than like this weird silence, no one knows where anyone stands, or this uncomfortable distrust from a lack of expectations, own the expectations, lead with that. And then, frankly, you defer to that local person as an expert in their specific subgroup. And you defer to the national group as being the expert for the national group. And you say, don't worry, even though the national group is pro-abortion, I'm not going to vote for that. And then vote for it sometimes, right? It's how you build that, like, diverging kind of thing. Yeah, so popularism is how we win. Popularism, own popularism. Anyone in a leadership position who is seen as a standard bearer for the party needs to have the popular positions. I'm sorry, you just need to. And then of the people who agree with the populist platform, pick the ones with the most notoriety and money and expertise and, you know, experience around them. Let me go back to our MS Paint thing. So that's that kind of pipeline, right? Focus on the stuff that like hits the biggest, widest chunk, the most popular kind of thing. Without throwing people under the bus, without picking this niche thing. To say we should just go all in on like populism is like doubling down on a narrow slice. Instead of just pick like generally agreeable issues. Not everyone's going to agree with you on anything, but you're casting the widest net. And that's what's going to win. When it comes to our job as messaging and the media apparatus, this is something I've been working on and thinking on for a long time, right? So this is like my plan. My plan. I'm getting a bit ranty. I'm sorry, I've been going for a while. I've not eaten or drank anything. Hope that's okay. I will drink some water. I may not be able to go on too much longer because I will need to like eat some food. Okay, so here's like a problem. Misinformation is everywhere. There's a lot of it. Misinformation is mimetically targeting pro-supremacy, bigotry, fear impulses. Okay, so a lot of this misinformation we're seeing is on a graph here. It's targeting the yellow. Like this little trash can here, right? They're finding or generating, just wholesale lying about claims of like bigotry. And frankly, what a lot of conservatives believe, because I have made a sock account so I can peek in there and see them. They believe, unironically, that in America, Democrats have already implemented full socialist programs and benefits specifically for illegal immigrants only and not you. That's why they oppose any socialist programs or welfare. They're jealous. It's spiteful. They think everyone's getting it but them. They know they want this. They want some of this sweet like red economic progressivism, right? They just think everyone's not getting it except for them. And they also think that immigrants are allowed to do crime and get away with it, and they're not aware. They don't understand. They are under the misconception, with the George Floyd protest as an example, that we're complaining just because they think that black people should get away with crimes. What they don't understand is what we are actually complaining about is a miscarriage of justice, that everyone deserves a fair trial, and cops should not, in fact, get to unilaterally execute people. When ICE should not get to unilaterally execute people. It's about a miscarriage of justice, not a presumption of innocence. That's like the big culture divide, right? But they prey on this a lot. They're spreading a ton of this, which allows them to grow really quickly and like yank in people from this side and this side to build their party, their broader thing, right? But it's sort of mutual. Like they don't mind. They're not trying to steal them away from these sections. They don't care if they're in these sections. But this allows them to grow and push out their border and make sure they're like maximizing the like yellow sphere and holding this line. So we need to do two things, right? You need to appeal to affordability to bring these people who are cared about their personal economic situation. We need to appeal to some like ideological opposition to PACs and things like that on this side, which is like the very anti-capitalist kind of thing. But part of it also is to make people passionately pro-egalitarianism, is to spread acts of kindness, show policies, show like fun that's happening. We need Hope Corps. So, solution. We need to like spread more information. Spread more information. I'm switching back to my browser tab now. Boop. Just gonna put my browser tab in front, because then I can just keep this open and toggle this off, and we can switch to that. Yeah. We need to spread. Spread more information. It's a noise problem. We don't have enough voices. It's too hard and inefficient to be a voice. Their voices are literally funded by big dark money, and they have internal influencer bounty boards for new talking points. If you look at something like Twitter, and Ashley St. Clair talked about this openly, right? Because she was in this sphere. Thank you in TikTok chat. Read your screen name. Don't never mind the message. But thank you. Yeah, I miss my mom a lot. Yes, sources of information, right? Yes, we are not going to abandon misinformation. What a lot of the sloppy-list leftists want to do, like the tanky sphere, they're willing to get real dirty with it and just like make up lies too. We do not need to make up lies. That's how you lower the bar, right? But it's not saying when they go low, we go high kind of thing. We're not going to abandon information, but I also don't want to abandon like efficiency, right? So this is our big thing. We need to stay efficient while doing it, right? Don't abandon truth. I agree. That is a fundamental principle for me. So yeah, Republicans have like talking points, right? Like if you are a rich bastard and you hate gay people, you can put up like for like an influencer marketing campaign, say these bad things about gay people, and then all these fuck ass influencers on Instagram and Twitter will start repeating your scripts and spreading your scripts in mass. Twitter, it's comical actually. In lockstep every day. It seems to be maybe even like a 2-hour turnaround or whatever, but it's certainly at the start of every day. All of these Twitter accounts, whether they're influencers or politicians on the Republican side, will start saying the same shit with the same talking points. They talk about the SAVE Act in the same terms. It's a bad bill, by the way. It's not saying you can use your driver's license to vote. It's you need a passport to vote. Most people don't have. You need a birth certificate to vote. Most people don't carry everywhere. It's freak behavior. But they have this central org, like the central like these secret boards where they get literally paid by the talking point, and by the post. We don't have that, right? But what that does is not only are they getting paid for it, so like they have a financial incentive, which frankly we can't match. I can't match, right? I don't know. They also have provided focus group tested, establishment backed, research / scripts done for them. Literally all they have to do is copy paste that shit into a tweet and maybe paraphrase it if they feel like it. Post. I'm pretty sure they also get botted support, which is BS and cheating, actually. So the pipeline for like a Republican influencer, okay? First you wake up and you drool over trans porn, even though you want to kill all trans people, right? That's just how they start their day, okay? But then they start to become an influencer. The pipeline is like their pre-production. Take paid marching orders. Their production. Copy, paste, just copy, paste, / read off the script. The post-production, use the fancy beauty products you can afford. Or just tweet it. Fuck it. Okay? That's a lot. A democratic influencer. Pre-production. Read all the news you can afford. The problem is, as news orgs have moved away from a freemium, like a free model of ads, to a paid subscription, yes, it has reduced like clickbait articles, and just dragging things out to fit more ads in the screen. But it's also gatekept a lot of news behind paywalls, which means if you want integrity and you want information, like it has become a class locked thing, and people are incentivized to click on and read articles even less. Because yeah, it's not like looking at a page full of ads, which is already bad, but at least you could like read the articles. Now you can't read the articles, which is a problem, which is a big problem. Which means now you need like startup money just to have a news subscription to read through it, right? But you have to read through it all. Because we want integrity. Integrity is expensive and slow. I'm gonna put that. Integrity is expensive and slow. Guess what is most important to your audience, or just follow your heart? Well, these people have literally, like, at the top of this, these people either have a rich person with an agenda, a specific legislative goal they want to achieve, or, like, focus groups that they pay off who are already, before you even see it, are going to give you fucking messaging they know is efficient and they know works. Or, like, doing the science, doing the research, right? They know it's going to hit. The problem is, caring about good things is hard. We don't have any of that. How many times over the years, on the left, have we had to just fucking bite the bullet of, like, the first phrase that happens to pop off, the first, like, catchphrase or whatever, the first messaging? And it's so bad. It's so bad. It's not good at all. Things like abolish the police, huge backfire. Abolish the police did not... Turns out, if you actually want to reduce crime, you need to, like, fund so much extra police training because they have PTSD and they're all racists. They need so much, like, training on de-escalation, and they need body cams. Technically speaking, even though you want to, like, defund their, like, excessive weaponry, right, of course, but then to fund that stuff, you actually kind of want to break even or, like, increase your funding for police, and that's boring. That's not sexy. But, like, all the places that just abolish the police or just, like, drastically cut police funding didn't get the outcome they wanted. Oops. But that's because that started with, like, us on the floor, like, on the ground level. That sounds like a nice idea. Let's get rid of them, because they're bad. Does not translate one-to-one on the nuances of policy and execution, which just requires, like, sociology and a fucking study and some time. It didn't work. Meanwhile, not only does it not get the outcomes we want, in a lot of other ways, it freaked the fuck out of everyone. It alienated everyone. It was so bad. It was so bad. It backfired electorally hugely. Still to this day. Yeah. But that's what we got. Meanwhile, their shit, they, like, develop in a lab. And they scientifically test with focus groups before we even see it. These think tanks run focus groups. They figure out what they want to say and how they want to say it. They make sure it's safe. Then they pass it along. Okay? We just wing it, and we get bad ideas. And bad ways to say those ideas. Even picking a topic, we don't really know. Going back to our chart, we have, like, No King's Libs saying stuff about, like, hey, what about these immigrants' feelings, huh? And they don't realize they're laughing at you. They don't give a fuck. You might help some people in your base, but then you have these, like, loyal Democratic accounts, usually, like these loyal influencers, just saying that kind of stuff. And that's nice. They have an in-group audience. They have no broader persuasive appeal or reach whatsoever. And when we've lost an election, these people are not going to help you win an election because they are not pushing the boundaries of your coalition. They are just not. They don't understand that game. And that's okay. They're very sweet. They're very kind. They're very nice. You would have some, like, kind of grungly debate streamers who are edgelords and nervous, like, make me nervous. They can reach out to a lot of young men and actually pull in a lot of these people, a lot of these, like, selfish young, like, crypto bro boys in college. Maybe win them over. Maybe win some people over who are ideologically, like, in it for, like, you know, they're a groiper, right? But you get to what they actually care about, and it's loneliness and relationships. You can get someone like talking about like, hey, not to be too feminist or woke about this or whatever, but like you're freaking out women, and if you said less misogynistic stuff, you could get women to like you, right? These are some like little inroads here that can actually pull people in. That's a winning strategy. That's like the kind of thing we need, right? So we need more voices, and we need voices saying better stuff. We are outnumbered, outfunded, all that shit by a lot. By a lot. The closest thing we have on the left, which some stupid people still think are our allies and are not, are these tankies who are just helping the groipers. Because the tankies are lazy, and the groipers very much are locked in. They've been locked in since 2015 and Gamergate, right? And these people are now feeding off of these people, like, rapidly. It's really, 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 really bad. You can see this. They actually have bot farms. The groipers will pay for bot farms. If you are in any way critical of Israel, they will flood your comments being like, yeah, right, we gotta stick it to all of the Jewish people. No, bad, wrong, bad. But that's what they do. That's what they know how to do. They're smart about this. That's who these people are. It sucks. They suck. Okay, cool. Sorry, checking Discord real quick. Yeah, that sucks. Sucks real hard. Where was I? Lost my train of thought. Yeah, the Groiper Tanky Coalition is trouble. Yes, because the Groipers know how to play the tankies better than the tankies know how to play the Groipers. And even a lot of these, like, progressive liberals, like, God, this is why I would worry, right? Because this whole, it's like the Young Turks pipeline, right? You have lots of people like naive social progressives. And over time they realize, like, they're building coalition with, like, Marxists who fucking hate them, but will use them and pretend to be their friends. And really their goal is to destroy the Democratic Party and let Republicans win so they can bring about an accelerationist end of the world. And the evangelicals, who also want the end of the world because they are, like, anarchist, like, anarcho-capitalist LARPers who have a stockpile of, like, AR-15s and beans, the classic, like, prepper, also want to bring about the rapture, right? The revolution and the rapture are really the same thing. And that's why this coalition pops off right here. But, yeah, it's a problem. So we need more people saying more good things. We need to find a way to, shore up the blue line a little bit. Make people aware of this diverging blue and yellow line and try to win over the red. We need to have more normie-facing content that can appeal to the green. Pull them over. We need to make people keenly aware of the yellow line. Not by just, like, I mean, honestly, frankly, some of this little, like, hope core woke is good. It's good for the heart. It's good for the soul. It helps, like, reiterate this is the fight we're in. But it does appear cringe to the flanks. So that's the kind of line to balance, right? My solution to this. Wow. So getting into now. Yeah, we need to do less guesswork. We need less guesswork. More effective messaging. We need easier, cheaper production pipelines. I think there's a reason why on the left, the closest thing we have are not these individual influencers. We don't have individual person-focused things, right? Like they have shows around people. Whether that's Tucker Carlson, Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro. They can focus on one personality as the face of a thing because they have a whole, like, little sub-industry behind them. They have these, like, big money groups coming in. They provide them with graphic designers, with editors, with researchers. You just hand them the script. All they have to do is show up and talk. We don't have any of that. It's on you to do it yourself. Which is why on the left, the closest thing we can get is someone like Adam Mockler or Destiny. Adam Mockler can kind of go into debate spaces a little more, which is nice. Or like someone like Dean Withers, right? But they have like a lower production value. And it's more this debate, like it's screwing with those pops. Like what I'm doing here, right? Is in the moment we're figuring it out, talking it out. It's messier. We need to get that polish back. And I think we can do it. So yeah, we can clean it up, right? And then we need to like make this more efficient and more effective. So we need more people who can do it. So I'm gonna get into this tomorrow, more tomorrow, because I'm gonna end stream here soon, because I'm running out of energy. We need to connect creators to work together and push out calls to action. If one person has an event they want to organize for, let other people get involved, right? Which is mostly just like peer-to-peer TMs. My girlfriend made a good point about this earlier. Like that tends to have the highest returns, most authentic. And then we also need to spread efficient messaging and research. And for this, I actually want to, I'm trying to vibe code this.
Unicorns, I love them. Unicorns, I love them.
Kind of an app to like help us find the most effective like tweets and posts on different news stories over the past like 24 hours. Because that shows us like the highest engagement, right? The highest engagement stories. And then we can start to find patterns from that. So I'm making an app to scrape for highest engagement stories about Dems good, reps bad. Right? And then with that, we need to like provide sources. So you can do that. Provide sources, read sources, obviously, like verify information. Anything code or AI can make mistakes. Like it just can. Even before AI, code can fuck up. Yeah, so we need to really, 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 really do this. And then like spread those lists, spread those short lists, right? So make your research, make sure we're not just like guessing or picking a random story we see most recently, but we're actually finding the ones that work, and then blast the ones that work. Like, we should all be making several posts a day. Not necessarily about every single story that comes by, because that's the alt-right Steve Bannon wants us to do that. They sucker us, right? They flood the zone with lots of noise, so we end up talking about them all the time. We never get to talk about our own wins, and we never get to build any coherent narrative out of their failures. Spread those short lists, right? And we'll start to see themes and patterns emerge, and we can target them, right? Specifically. Allow user to specify a story or a theme / topic, right? If you want to make, I'm a feminist creator, give me a story about women, right? Or environment, stuff like that. Or sources. If you have specific news sources you like or trust. Users, right?
Unicorns, I love them. Unicorns, I love them.
Short list of headlines that are the most effective. We spread those short lists. Then we can generate like descriptions or summaries of those. But really you should read the full article, but this will help you. And these are the, / scripts about those stories. Or at least the ones you say you want to talk about. Okay? So the thing I'm working on, it gives it'll pick 6 stories a day. And then you can pick hey, I like these 3. And then it'll generate you, so it doesn't waste computing power or resources. Because anything that's code-based or AI or involves calls in general, all computation, has an environmental cost and electricity cost, right? So, we want to just, hey, go...
Unicorns, I love them. Unicorns, I love them.
AI or anything like that for, generative art or writing, creative writing. Anything that's just anti-humanitarian. What those models are good for is genuinely, here's a big pool of data, find the patterns, scrape the data, aggregate, right? It's really efficient. That's what it's made for. I like to use that for, research type stuff. I don't trust it for directly citing sources, going into sources, right? Double check all that, read into it, make sure you get some stuff. They can hallucinate. But this kind of thing will help us, step back, take a look at everything that's going on, find the most effective stuff, give us, the summary, help us synthesize all that, sort through, find all the needles in the haystack. Then you can do that. So then influencers can use that, right? Then the other thing I want to do, so, this, basically, makes pre-production better. Right? Pre-production. So in between, whether it's you find stories you want to, make scripts out of, or,
Unicorns, I love them. Unicorns, I love them.
That helps their pre-production become way more efficient, way more effective, and streamlined and put together. Not coming from some top-down mysterious org. There is no paid sponsored messaging here, right? It's just democratically and statistically, what are the most popular, like already performed stories in the past 24 hours, or anything that like anyone's passionate about and wants to like talk about. You know, any sort of cause activism, reward activism, and focus on like what's actually popular and what's working, and then let's amplify those, right? Then like production is just production is like you record a video your way, and then post-production, I think it would be really cool if we had like some pools of like shared / volunteered editors. Would be awesome, because this is also a huge and expensive part of the process. And then also I want to start making, like, have you seen those like posts on social media? It's like a news headline and it has like a, you know, a picture and like a little description at the bottom, maybe like a logo. I have a background in graphic design and stuff, UX design, UI design, same kind of thing. I want to sell at a very low cost, so low cost, like graphics packages, for social media post templates, right? Because if we all start, if you look at something like Fact Post News, which is really good, or like Headquarters, are kind of the only sources right now doing this, where they have those like nice little like social media slides which you can spread in a normometic. On Facebook, conservatives for fucking years, for decades, have been doing this. They spread around like nice graphics with their headlines, which are mainly just made up stories, like lies. What if we did that with like true stuff, right? We were all able to distribute, looks nice, looks professional, like spread news headlines with sources and like with descriptions of the stories, spread this all around. Fubar Pack is a great channel on here that does that kind of thing. They do not provide grants for this. No, the Democratic Party does not do any of this. That's why, frankly, I want to like sell some of this stuff. I take like donations on stream. I want to start doing this more, but I want to create like an efficient pipeline for myself and other people to start doing this. Right? I might sell access to like this little app up front if I make this, if I finish this. Production, you need to make a video that's authentic to you. Post production, I want to create some assets that will help you push out posts more. You know, paraphrase it, do it your way. Editors would be really good if we had a network of editors. That would also help. Would be awesome, even if like for sale, you know, for the services, like a little specialized Fiverr for people who want to help the cause, because we need that fast turnaround on anything news. You need a fast turnaround, which is expensive. It's not cheap to do things quickly, but there are good volunteers out there, even people who do it themselves. Also, tools like Descript is an AI. I use Descript. It's more still AI. It's not really AI, but it's just anything tech is AI. It can like auto generate captions, which is really good, like TikTok does. Descript can also go through and like cut out long pauses and stuff. It's really good. I want to use that more. It helps me make videos when I otherwise couldn't, because like most of my time would just be editing. If we got funding, it would just be like pay for editors, pay for editing tools, pay for design tools. Literally just that. Pay for API calls for a more advanced app. So it costs money to use, right? That was literally it, right? No pay for specific messaging. Be very clear upfront about that. That's where you lose everyone trust-wise. Like, that's like the huge blow in that. And then like allow editors / graphic designers / app use to be free to creators, right? We just offset those costs. That would be it. And this, I would only be able to share this or sell this to like a whitelisted group of creators, but like, you know, that's the thing, right? When people using Retrieval, but this would be the kind of pipeline I want to imagine and use. So basically, I want to like leverage a little bit of like code savvy and a little bit of graphic design savvy, and like also just collaboration between creators and volunteerism to start matching the efficiency of this, so we can create. Our end goal is to create more voices with better messaging, and like more efficient workloads. Because it's a matter of noise. We don't have enough voices. Like, you can like one specific debate stream or whatever. There's just not enough. We're outnumbered, and that's what I want to do. So that's my goal, basically. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. So I'm gonna be working on these tools. I have been working on it for like a week. I'm gonna work on it for like maybe a couple more weeks, and I'm gonna start. I'm setting up a secret website for this, so I'm gonna have like a little store. You could buy like different packs of assets, and, like some merchant stuff. and then maybe even like access to the applet. But yeah, that's my goal, and then we can all just start talking about stories more often, more efficiently, more effectively, pick better targets. And I want to start building, like, individual creators can start hammering in whatever angle they want towards this shared goal. No one's coming to save us from the top down. That's like my thesis of this. Like, no one's coming to save us. There is no centralized organizing messaging. It's our job to find the right messages, and I want to create tools to do that, and I want to create tools to help us spread and amplify those messages. We got to do it ourselves, so we're going to do it ourselves. That's the end of my stream. I hope I've given a better sense of the media landscape as it currently stands, which is through my wacky little chart here, and the goals to kind of target here. And then I'm going to create a data-driven, like, news story checking app to help us find the right stories and angles in pursuit of those goals. So we can streamline our research. It'll, like, filter things, basically just a filter of news stories and all the chaos going on, to find things that work for us, things to amplify and talk about, and start reclaiming the narrative of conversations back from, like, whatever crazy ass, you're not a pure enough communist, or, like, but actually I want to kill all minorities. Stop letting these people control the conversation. Stop letting these people control the conversation. Because these are the people right now, the only ones, because it's like, they used the All White Pipeline in 2015, doing it ever since. Steve Bannon and friends. They've been polling on this and polling on this. This is the enemy. This is the enemy. This is the Gamergate alt-right. We know what they're about. Fuck them. We're gonna do this. These people are useless to us. These people are useless to us. The best ones we have, they're not gonna help us. These people are not leading the way. We need a smart, usually pretty, frankly, progressive way. Leading the way. And just finding, you know, basic affordability, basic good for everybody, common sense ideas and policies and messages, and spread them all around. So, thank you for coming to my schizophrenic TED Talk. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your donation.